They called it the eighth wonder of the world, a chamber so breathtaking its walls weren't painted or papered, but paneled entirely with amber, gold, and precious gems. This wasn't just a room. It was a treasure chest you could walk into, a symphony of golden light gifted from one king to another, a symbol of peace and unparalleled luxury. But in 1945, it vanished without a trace. Under the cover of war, this priceless masterpiece was dismantled, packed away, and spirited into the fog of history. Was it stolen, hidden, or destroyed forever? For over 70 years, treasure hunters, historians, and governments have chased whispers and followed cold trails, all asking the same question: what happened to the Amber Room, the treasure the world still can't find? To understand the mystery of its disappearance, we first have to understand what made the Amber Room so special. Imagine walking into a space where every surface glimmers with the warm, honeyed light of 1,000 sunsets. This was the reality of the Amber Room. Conceived in the early 18th century, it was a masterpiece of Baroque art, a collaboration between German and Russian craftsmen. The original design was for Charlottenburg Palace in Prussia, but history had bigger plans for it. In 1716, in a grand gesture of diplomacy, Prussian King Frederick William III gifted the entire unassembled room to Russia's great modernizer, Tsar Peter the Great. This gift was meant to cement an alliance against Sweden. When it arrived in Russia, it was installed in the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, before eventually finding its permanent home in the Catherine Palace, just outside the city. It was here, under the lavish eye of Empress Elizabeth, that the room was expanded and perfected. Florentine mosaics, more amber panels, and gilded carvings were added, transforming it into a space that covered more than 55 square meters and used over 6 tons of amber. It wasn't just a room, it was a statement. It represented the immense wealth, power, and artistic ambition of the Russian Empire. For 2 centuries it dazzled Tsars, nobles, and visitors, a permanent jewel in the crown of the Romanov dynasty. It witnessed the height of their power and, unknowingly, awaited the dawn of their downfall and the chaos that would eventually consume it. The 20th century brought revolution and war to Russia's doorstep. The Romanovs fell and the Bolsheviks rose, but the Amber Room remained. The new Soviet government recognized its immense cultural value, turning the Catherine Palace into a public museum. The Amber Room became a star attraction, a relic of a bygone imperial age that now belonged to the people. But this peaceful existence was shattered in June 1941 when Nazi Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, a full-scale invasion of the Soviet Union. As German forces advanced on Leningrad, the city now known as St. Petersburg, the curators at the Catherine Palace faced a terrifying dilemma. The Amber Room was priceless, but it was also incredibly fragile. The amber panels had become brittle over the centuries. They tried to disassemble it, but the delicate amber started to crumble. In a desperate last-ditch effort to protect it, they made a fateful decision. Instead of moving it, they decided to hide it in plain sight. The curators covered the magnificent amber walls with simple wallpaper, hoping the invading soldiers would mistake it for an ordinary, unremarkable room. It was a gamble, a flimsy disguise for the world's greatest treasure. But the Nazis were not so easily fooled. They had their own art recovery unit, the ERR, tasked with plundering Europe's cultural treasures for Hitler's planned Führer Museum, and they knew exactly what they were looking for. When the German army captured the town of Pushkin, where the Catherine Palace stands, they marched straight to the Amber Room. It took them less than 36 hours to tear down the wallpaper, expertly dismantle the amber panels, pack them into 27 crates, and ship them west. The treasure of the Tsars was now in Nazi hands. Its destination, Königsberg Castle, in what was then East Prussia, the historical heartland of the very kingdom that had created the room centuries earlier. In a strange twist of fate, the Amber Room had come home, but as a spoil of war. It was reassembled and put on display in the castle's museum, a trophy of the Third Reich's conquests. But its stay there would be short-lived. The tides of war were turning, and the room's final and most mysterious journey was about to begin. By late 1944, The Red Army was pushing back hard, closing in on Königsberg. The city was relentlessly bombed by Allied air forces. In the ensuing chaos, the Amber Room disappeared once more. And this is where the facts end and the endless theories begin. The last confirmed sighting places the room, packed again in its crates, in the cellars of Königsberg Castle in early 1945. After that, silence. When the Soviet forces finally captured the heavily damaged city, they scoured the castle ruins. But of the 27 crates containing the eighth wonder of the world, they found nothing. Not a single shard of amber. Not a splinter of a gilded frame. It was as if it had evaporated. So what happened? The most straightforward theory is also the most tragic, that the room was destroyed. Perhaps it was obliterated during the intense British air raids on Königsberg in August 1944, which left the city in flames. Or maybe it was lost in the fires caused by the final Soviet artillery assault in April 1945. Some witnesses claim to have seen the crates being moved from the castle just before the final siege, which leads us to the more tantalizing possibilities. Could the room have been loaded onto a ship? One popular theory centers on the German transport ship, the Wilhelm Gustloff, which was sunk in the Baltic Sea by a Soviet submarine in January 1945 while evacuating German personnel and possibly stolen treasures. It was a maritime disaster of epic proportions, and thousands perished. Could the Amber Room be lying with them at the bottom of the cold, dark sea? Divers have explored the wreck for decades, but no definitive proof of the crates has ever been found. Then there's the theory that the room was hidden. This is the one that has fueled countless treasure hunts. Proponents believe that as the Reich crumbled, loyal Nazis secreted the room away in one of thousands of potential locations, a forgotten mine, a secret bunker, or a remote castle vault, somewhere in the mountains of Germany or Austria. Over the years, tips have led explorers to silver mines in the Ore Mountains, to secret tunnels beneath castles, and even to a lagoon in Lithuania. A few tantalizing clues have surfaced, like a single Florentine mosaic panel that was part of the room's original decor. It was discovered in 1997 in Germany. The family of a former German soldier who helped pack the room had held onto it for decades, but this single piece has only deepened the mystery of where the rest might be. Could it have been secretly recovered and hidden by the Soviets themselves? Some conspiracy theories suggest that the Red Army did find the room, but for political reasons, or perhaps because it was too damaged to display, they kept the discovery a secret, stashing it away in a secret KGB depository, where it might still remain today. This theory, however, has little evidence to support it. The Soviet government spent enormous resources searching for the room, suggesting their ignorance of its whereabouts was genuine. The search for the Amber Room continues to this day, a modern-day quest for a lost treasure of mythical status. But while the original remains lost, its story doesn't end in mystery. In 1979, the Soviet government decided that if the world couldn't find the Amber Room, they would bring it back to life. They embarked on one of the most ambitious art restoration projects in history, recreating the Amber Room from scratch. For 24 years, an army of skilled Russian artisans, working from old black and white photographs and a single color picture, meticulously recrafted every detail. They had to rediscover lost techniques for carving and dyeing the amber to match the 350 different shades of gold and honey seen in the original. It was a monumental task, fueled by national pride and a determination to restore a piece of their stolen heritage. The project cost over $11 million, largely funded by a German company, a symbolic gesture of reconciliation. Finally, in 2003, for the 300th anniversary of the city of St. Petersburg, the new Amber Room was unveiled at the Catherine Palace. It stands today in the exact same spot as the original, a breathtaking and brilliant reconstruction. It is a testament not only to the splendor of the original, but also to the resilience of culture and the enduring power of art to rise from the ashes of history. While the recreated room is a stunning achievement, the allure of the lost original persists. Is it lying at the bottom of the sea, buried in a forgotten mine? Or was it simply turned to ash in the fires of war? Perhaps we will never know. The Amber Room's disappearance has transformed it from a historical artifact into a legend. It's a story of kings and empresses, of war and plunder, and of a treasure so magnificent that it continues to capture the imagination of the world, even in its absence. The empty space it left behind is filled with one of history's most compelling and enduring mysteries. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the past. What do you think happened to the Amber Room? Let us know your theory in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Biography Plus for more dives into history's greatest mysteries. We'll see you next time.